If you hadn't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Great morning to you. It's Sunday, December 13th, 2020, and I would like to welcome you back to the King and I Life podcast, hosted by myself, Soul Toucher the Poet, and my brother, Son Soul X. Today we bring you another segment of African American historical figures, and today I'm going to talk to you about Harriet Powers. Harriet Powers is one of the best-known Southern African American quilt makers in the nation. Only two of her quilts survive today, both made after the Civil War. One is in the National Museum of American History collection at the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., and the other is in the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, Massachusetts. Harriet was born into slavery on October 29, 1837 in Clark County, Georgia, on a plantation owned by John and Nancy Lester. There are few details about her early life as a child and young adult. According to the 1870 U.S. Census, she married Armistead Powers, a farmhand, in 1855 at the age of 18, and the couple had 9 children. The first known display of Powers quilts were in 1886 at a cotton fair in Northeast Georgia. Jenny Smith, an artist and art teacher at the Lucy Cobb Institute in Athens, Georgia, approached Powers about purchasing the quilt displayed, but Powers declined to sell it. The cotton quilt consisted of numerous pictorial squares depicting biblical scenes and celestial phenomena. They were constructed through applique and piecework and were a mixture of hand and machine stitched. Smith and Powers remained in touch, and when Powers fell on hard times about 5 years later, she agreed to sell the quilt for $5. That's about $138 in 2020. At the time of the sale, Powers explained the imagery in the squares, and Smith recorded description for posterity. The first quilt was made of 299 separate pieces of fabric depicting scenes from Bible stories and spirituals. The figures were colorful and stitched to a watermelon-colored background. Broken vertical strips divided the quilt into panels that told stories. Powers could not read or write, but the stories she heard came to life on her quilts. By the 1880s, Harriet and Armistead Powers owned a small farm but had to sell parts of their land to make ends meet. Armistead Powers left her in 1895, and she most likely supported herself and her family by working as a seamstress. The second quilt was acquired by wives of faculty members of Atlanta University, now Clark Atlanta University, in 1898. The wives gave the quilt as a gift to the Reverend Charles Cuthbert Hall of New York, while he served as the chairman of the board of trustees at Atlanta University. The second quilt consists of 15 panels and illustrate Bible stories and natural events such as the Leonid meteor storm. The quilt was purchased from Reverend Hall's heirs by folk art collector Maxim Karalik and donated to the Museum of Fine Arts. In 2005, doctoral student in history at the University of Georgia, Kat Holmes, discovered the grave of Harriet Powers, her husband, and a daughter. The headstone was uncovered at Gospel Pilgrim Cemetery in Athens, Georgia. A few books and a play, Quilting in the Sun, honor her memory. Harriet Powers was inducted into the Georgia Women of Achievement in 2009.